All right, so let's create another task. And the task is that can I transfer more tokens than the tokens already held by the person? So I'll just break it down into numbers. Can I transfer So the question is that can I transfer 600 tokens from the founder to the recipient? So considering the same scenario that we were on, and we are building the scenario, so don't clear your screen if you're following along the videos. Now, the question is that can I transfer 600 tokens from the founder to another recipient? So looking at the same current scenario that we've been building up from task one, let's look at the balance of the founder first. So the first thing that I will do is I will check the balance of the founder. That does the founder have 600 tokens or not? All right. So to do that, I'm simply going to get the address of the founder. I will copy this. It's already there in the balance of function, but I'll still copy and paste it again for those of you who are watching the video, and I will simply call it. Now it tells me that founder has 500 tokens. So the answer is very obvious for task number 4, that I cannot transfer 600 tokens, but we'll still make an attempt and see what Solidity Remix returns us. So what we're going to do is we're going to go from the founder, which is this address. So let's just confirm that. So this is the address of the founder, so 0x5b3. So this is the address of the founder, 0x5b3. And we are going to pick up another recipient. So I'm going to pick up any recipient. I'll just pick up a random recipient. Let's say this one, and I'll copy it over here. So for task number 4, this is my recipient. Founder address remains the same. All right, so this is my recipient this time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to change this to my founder's address, so which is my from. And then over here, I'm going to look for the transfer from function. So I'm going to expand this. So, sorry, I'm going to look at the transfer function. We'll talk about transfer from later. I'm going to look at the transfer function, and over here, I have to paste the address of the recipient and the amount I'm transferring to. So I know the amount is 600 that I want to transfer to, and the transfer from, I'll just validate this again. It is the address of the founder, the person who deployed the smart contract. So this is my transfer from, this is my from address, and then this is my to address. So I'm going to copy this as my to. So I will copy this from here, and I'm going to paste this over here. And this is the address of my recipient, and I'm going to simply hit transact, and it should give me an error. And the error basically is that my founder obviously does not have those many funds that it is trying to send to the recipient, and that's why you can see this error essentially came. So I'm going to expand this error a bit to see if I get any more information. And over here, you can see that this was my recipient and this was the amount I was transferring to. And I cannot, because my founder does not have 500 tokens. So this is what it's returning, that this transaction mined, but the execution failed. Now, let's try and transfer a little lesser amount. So let's try inside the same task. I'm going to say transfer $200, 200 tokens to this new recipient. All right, so I'm going to again keep my settings same. So I've got my founder address over here, and I've got my same recipient that I'm transacting to. So now instead of transacting 600, I'm simply going to transact 200. So I'll type 200 over here, and this should happen successfully. And you can see that the transfer function has indeed executed. And now this particular address, so I'm going to copy this over here. So this particular address at the end of task 4 has 200 of my block tokens. To verify this, I'm simply going to now copy this address from here. And I'm going to go back to our favorite balances of function. And I'm going to paste the address over here. And I'm going to call. And this returns you 200, which is absolutely correct. So this new recipient now has 200. And if I want to check how much is remaining with the founder, so I'm simply going to copy the address of the founder from here. So I'll copy this. I can also copy the address of the founder from Remix. So this is the address of my founder. I can simply copy it from here. And I can now check how much balance the founder has. And for that, I can go again to the balances of function or balances. But let's just go to the balances function. So I'm going to remove this value. I will paste the address of the founder over here. So 0x5b3, and I will hit call. And the moment I hit call, you can see the founder, which had 500 tokens earlier, now has 300 because 200 tokens of those 500 have been transferred to this new recipient. So I hope with all this explanation, you're now pretty much clear with what is happening and how we are interacting with these smart contracts. And the last thing remaining is the transfer from function, and we'll talk about that shortly. However, one thing before I close this video, what will happen if I click on total supply? So that's your next task. I'm going to type it over here. So can you make a wild guess? What will happen if I hit total supply now? So before hitting total supply, you should already know the answer, but I'll still do that. So when I hit total supply, it still gives me 1000 tokens, which is absolutely correct. So this total supply is not returning tokens from any particular wallet address. This total supply is essentially telling me how many tokens are in circulation, how many tokens are being supplied. So obviously, if I go into more in depth, there's a difference between the one supplied and the one in circulation. But for now, this total supply is still 1000 tokens because this is the total number of tokens that are in the ecosystem at the moment. So be the tokens with the founder or be the tokens with any other recipient, they are still 1000 tokens. So total supply does not change. The total supply is still capped to 1000. So I hope this is now very clear. And with all that background, let's now jump on to our last function, which is the transfer from function. And I would require you to pay special attention. If you've understood the concept so far, this should come in very easily, but do make sure that you have all the other concepts that we've discussed so far clear before you jump on the transfer from function. Otherwise, you might feel lost. So with all of that and more in the next lesson.